Good afternoon, traders. It is Wednesday, February 25th, 2015, and the U.S. stock market is closed. While we had another lousy day today, not a terrible day, but it was a little more terrible than yesterday, let's put it that way. And on top of it all, the Dow Jones Industrial Average made a new record high again today. And of course, you know, we do not seem to do well when the Dow makes new record highs. And particularly, it only made a small record high today. It actually closed up 15 points. This chart, you know, this looks very tentative to me. Doesn't look like we're going any place, and I am very tempted to put in a ceiling up here. I want to see the action on at least one more day before I do that, but it's clear that the Dow is having trouble up here in this area making much progress, and I think it really does need to come down before it gains some resilience. And if I do put a ceiling in up here, it's a fairly narrow range between the ceiling and the floor, about 400 points, but nevertheless, I'm just feeling like the Dow is struggling up here, and this feeling also is reinforced by what's happening in the stocks we trade. I was amazed. I couldn't figure out why, but with this kind of drifting sideways action today, we actually got into 10 new trades, which is not a small amount of buying to do, and we ended up with like 3 winners, which were barely winners, and 7 losers. So that's not a very good ratio, and we also really didn't improve at all from our negative, the negative positions we had yesterday didn't get any better either. So my feeling is this thing is just too high right now. It needs to come down before we start getting some good trades again. So I hope it comes down. We'll kind of watch it tomorrow and see what happens. But this is looking like a ceiling to me up here. Anyway, we had about negative $4,000 yesterday in open trade equity. When we closed that out, we were negative $4,001. So we basically stayed about the same when we closed out our trades. Unfortunately, we are carrying these 10 positions on our negative 1900 in open trade equity. Now, that's not too bad. And there's nothing in that package that, you know, looks really bad, but it's just nothing looks really good either. It just looks, you know, like a lot of very mediocre trades. So I'm hopeful we'll, you know, something's going to break loose here and give us a chance to make a little more money. I'll show you trades today. I'm going to show you some of the problem trades we had. We had problems with the solar energies today. Well, yesterday and today. This first one is in CSIQ, Canadian Solar, and Canadian Solar had this huge gap up yesterday. It was trading way up in the aftermarket and then opened up here, and you know, hey, we buy gaps, and usually we do pretty well with that, but we didn't do well with Canadian Solar yesterday. We got into this and it just started sinking, and then bam, down this morning, and we're out, and we lost about $1,500 in Canadian Solar. Then we also, almost the same pattern in Solar City, gapped up there. We bought up here. You know, we weren't 5 minutes profitable with that trade, and it started to sink, and then bam, we're out this morning on that. And this was more costly. That cost us about $3,000 in Solar City. Now if you think I'm about ready to throw the solars out of the portfolio, well, I'm sorry, there's always an exception, and this is SUNE, SunEdison, and we had bought this actually 2 days ago, and yesterday had a nice a gap up, big enough to keep us in the trade, and then we had a mini gap this morning, and we managed to get out of this, you know, about as good as we could before it sold off, and we made about $2,000 in SunEdison. So we're betting about 1 for 3 in the solar energy sector. It's a good sector. I'm not knocking it at all. We just didn't have too much luck with it today. Anyway, that's the way it went. This is Trader Bob signing off. I'll see you tomorrow on Thursday.